This weekend the Northeast was gripped by a true blast of Arctic fury, a mass of frigid air that swept down with astonishing speed and intensity, transforming the region into a frozen landscape almost overnight. Residents woke to howling winds, swirling snow, and temperatures that plunged far below what even the hardiest New Englanders are used to enduring. The air itself seemed to bite, stinging exposed skin and turning every breath into a visible puff of vapor. This brutal cold snap originated far to the north, above Hudson Bay in Canada, where vast expanses of snow and ice create a reservoir of some of the coldest air on the planet. As the polar night lingered, this frigid air mass grew denser and colder, waiting for the right conditions to escape its Arctic confines. After weeks of below-average temperatures, a dramatic shift in the jet stream, a fast-moving river of air high above the Earth, opened the floodgates. A lobe of the polar vortex, that swirling pool of icy air usually locked over the North Pole, plunged southward, funneling Arctic air directly into the heart of the Northeast. Meteorologists watched as the jet stream dipped and twisted, creating a direct pipeline from the frozen north. The result was the coldest air of the season, a deep freeze that shattered daily temperature records and left cities and towns in a state of deep chill. This wasn't just another cold front passing through, it was the dramatic grand finale to a relentless 25-day cold wave that had already tested the limits of infrastructure and endurance. Overhead, a sprawling high-pressure system settled in, acting like a heavy, icy blanket that trapped the cold air at the surface. Major cities, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, found themselves in the direct path of this Arctic onslaught, with no escape from the bitter wind and relentless snow. The pressure system reinforced the cold, making it feel even more intense and unyielding. More than 100 million people across the region felt the impact. Streets emptied as people huddled indoors, while those who ventured out bundled up in layers, bracing against the wind that seemed to cut right through even the thickest coats. Families shoveled driveways buried under feet of snow, and commuters trudged through drifts, their faces red from the cold. The jet stream's deep trough created a perfect pathway for this polar air, setting the stage for one of the most severe cold snaps in decades. Local news stations reported record-breaking lows, and thermometers dipped well below zero in towns and cities that rarely see such extremes. For many communities, this was the coldest stretch in a generation, threatening records for the longest run of sub-freezing days. As snow piled up and winds howled, the Northeast endured a relentless month-long battle against winter's raw power. Roads became impassable, cars were entombed in ice, and neighborhoods disappeared beneath towering drifts. This was not just a weekend event, it was the brutal, unforgettable climax of an unyielding winter, a test of resilience for millions who faced nature at its most unforgiving. The Arctic outbreak blanketed the Northeast, stretching from the Great Lakes to the Mid-Atlantic. New England bore the brunt, with Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont seeing temperatures plunge well below zero. Even cities as far south as Virginia recorded single-digit readings, a testament to the cold's reach. Major cities struggled to climb out of the single digits by day, and nights brought dangerous lows. The deep freeze was historic, impacting millions. From New York City's bustling streets to rural Pennsylvania's quiet towns, sea smoke rose dramatically along the coast as frigid air met warmer Atlantic waters. The cold's duration was as remarkable as its intensity, threatening records and straining heating systems. The Northeast became a canvas of deep blue and purple, a visual testament to the Arctic's total conquest. The thermometer told only part of the story. The real danger came from the wind. Gusty winds combined with Arctic air to create life-threatening wind chills. AccuWeather's real field temperatures dropped to 10 to 20 below zero across most of the Northeast. In exposed areas, wind chills plummeted to 25 to 40 below, making even brief outdoor exposure hazardous. At these levels, frostbite can occur in minutes, and hypothermia becomes a real threat. The wind strips away body heat rapidly, turning a short walk into a dangerous ordeal. Meteorologists emphasized wind chill in their warnings, knowing people might underestimate the risk. The cold snap's true story was written by the wind, an invisible adversary that made the weekend perilous. Even routine tasks outdoors became hazardous, requiring full protection. The wind chill transformed an already cold weekend into a dangerously hostile environment. When temperatures plummet and the wind howls, the human body faces a relentless assault from the elements. The extreme cold posed two major threats, frostbite and hypothermia, each capable of turning a simple walk outside into a dangerous ordeal. In these conditions, even the healthiest individuals are at risk, and the body's natural defenses can be quickly overwhelmed. Frostbite can set in within minutes at wind chills of 25 to 40 below, especially on fingers, toes, ears, and the face. The skin may first tingle or ache, then go numb, turning pale or waxy as blood flow is cut off. If not treated quickly, frostbite can cause permanent tissue damage, sometimes leading to amputation. Hypothermia, a dangerous drop in core body temperature, can occur even without direct skin exposure, especially after prolonged cold. It doesn't just happen to those lost in the wilderness. Simply being outside too long or wearing wet clothing can be enough to trigger it. Early symptoms, shivering, confusion, fumbling hands, can be subtle but quickly become life-threatening. As hypothermia progresses, people may lose the ability to think clearly or move well, making it even harder to seek help or get to safety. Vulnerable groups included the elderly, children, and those with chronic health conditions. Their bodies lose heat faster, and they may not recognize the warning signs until it's too late. For them, even a short trip outdoors can be hazardous. The advice was clear: stay indoors whenever possible, dress in layers, and cover all exposed skin if you must go out. Multiple layers trap warm air, while hats, scarves, and gloves protect the most vulnerable areas. Waterproof, windproof outer layers, and insulated mittens were essential. Proper boots and thick socks kept feet dry and warm, while a snug coat shielded the body from icy gusts. Every detail mattered when facing such severe weather. People were urged to keep cars fueled, prepare emergency kits, and check on neighbors. A charged phone, blankets, and extra food and water could make all the difference if stranded or stuck at home. Community support became a lifeline for many. This was not a weekend for outdoor activities. It was a time for caution and preparation. Parks and playgrounds stood empty, and the usual sounds of winter fun were replaced by the quiet vigilance of a city bracing for the cold. The cold demanded respect and vigilance to avoid its life-threatening consequences. In the face of nature's icy assault, survival depended on preparation, awareness, and looking out for one another. As the Arctic air settled in, communities across the region sprang into action, determined to protect their most vulnerable members. Neighbors checked on one another, especially the elderly and those living alone, making sure no one was left isolated in the cold. Local organizations quickly coordinated efforts, pooling resources and volunteers to respond to the urgent needs brought on by the extreme weather. Emergency warming centers opened their doors in schools, libraries, and churches, transforming familiar spaces into safe havens. These centers provided not only warmth and shelter, but also hot drinks, nourishing meals, and a sense of community for those without heat or power. Volunteers greeted arrivals with blankets and smiles, offering comfort and reassurance during uncertain times. Homeless outreach teams worked tirelessly, braving the frigid streets day and night. They urged people living outdoors to come inside, distributed warm clothing and supplies, and provided transportation to shelters. Their dedication saved lives, ensuring that even the most at-risk individuals had a safe place to stay. At home, residents took practical steps to conserve heat and stay comfortable. Families sealed drafts around doors and windows, closed off unused rooms to focus warmth, and made the most of sunlight during the day. Heavy curtains were drawn at night to keep the cold at bay, and everyone bundled up in layers to stretch their heating resources further. Public officials issued frequent safety alerts, warning of the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning and the importance of using space heaters safely. They reminded everyone never to leave heaters unattended, to keep flammable materials away, and to avoid using ovens or stoves for heat. These messages were broadcast on local news, social media, and emergency alert systems to reach as many people as possible. Fire departments prepared for a surge in calls, ready to respond to heating-related emergencies and frozen pipes. Firefighters visited neighborhoods to offer advice, urging homeowners to let faucets drip and open cabinet doors, under sinks, to prevent pipes from freezing and bursting. Their proactive outreach helped many avoid costly and dangerous damage. Despite all precautions, repair services were inundated with calls for burst pipes, malfunctioning furnaces, and power outages. Technicians and utility workers braved hazardous conditions, working long hours to restore heat and water to affected homes, often becoming unsung heroes of the storm. Surviving the deep freeze required more than just individual effort. It took community support, public awareness, and a willingness to help one another. Neighbors shared supplies, shoveled walkways, and checked in on those who needed extra help. Local groups distributed winter gear and posted safety tips on community boards and online forums. In the end, it was a collective effort, one built on compassion, preparedness, and resilience, that kept everyone safe and warm through the harshest days of winter. The cold wave sent shockwaves through the region's economy, especially in the energy sector. Demand for natural gas and electricity soared, straining the power grid and driving up prices. Households faced soaring heating bills, adding financial stress to an already tough winter. Businesses saw foot traffic vanish, with many closing for safety, hurting hourly workers and local economies. Infrastructure suffered. Water mains broke, ferry services halted, and ice damaged piers and docks. Construction and delivery services stalled, as outdoor work became unsafe and roads treacherous. Even Lake Ontario was nearly frozen over, underscoring the freeze's severity. The economic impact rippled from energy markets to corner stores, with costs lingering long after the thaw. The cold exposed the vulnerability of modern commerce to nature's extremes. The deep freeze brought the Northeast's transportation network to a near standstill. Road salt lost effectiveness, leaving black ice on highways and bridges. Travel advisories urged people to stay home. Vehicle breakdowns became dangerous emergencies in sub-zero wind chills, stretching first responders thin. Air travel was crippled by mechanical issues and de-icing delays, with major airports reporting widespread cancellations. Public transit struggled. Subways and trains faced frozen switches and power lines, causing delays and suspensions. Buses and ferries were hampered by engine trouble and icy waterways, further isolating communities. The Coast Guard deployed icebreakers to keep essential shipping lanes open, but progress was slow. The region was effectively frozen in place, with the safest option being to stay indoors. The cold's grip was total, halting movement and commerce alike. As the Arctic siege peaked, meteorologists predicted a dramatic shift. A thaw was on the way. The frigid high-pressure system was set to weaken, replaced by milder Pacific air spreading eastward. Winds would ease first, bringing relief from brutal wind chills even before temperatures rose. The jet stream would flatten, cutting off the Arctic supply and ushering in a west-to-east flow. Temperatures were forecast to climb above freezing, with the promise of 40s and 50s later in the month. The psychological relief was immense, a light at the end of a long, frozen tunnel. The thaw would bring new challenges, but for millions, it was a welcome glimmer of hope. The coming thaw brought its own hazards. Melting snow and ice threatened to create ice jams on rivers, risking sudden flooding upstream. The freeze-thaw cycle would produce black ice on roads and sidewalks, making travel treacherous. Melting snowpack and rain could lead to widespread fog and a messy mix of freezing rain and sleet. Thawing ground could shift, breaking water mains and sewer lines that survived the freeze. Homeowners faced risks of basement flooding and heavy, wet snow-damaging roofs. Emergency officials had to pivot quickly from freeze response to flood and ice management. The end of the coldest weekend was just the start of a new set of weather challenges.